little bits of housekeeping first. So in the event of an emergency, that exit is out there, but there's also a second exit out this door, and just keep running straight ahead, but you'll need one of these to get out, and I'm not sharing, so I'd go that way if I was you. So the cameras, it is filming. It's not filming you guys. There's a few people that have put in their apologies tonight and can't be here. So it's only, they'll hear your voices on the film, and it's only targeted on the board, okay? And that was just for those people that can't be here tonight and have requested that. So hopefully there's no opposition to that. Again, welcome here tonight. I think these are exciting times for Taumarunui. It is our turn. We are going to look very spruced up there in the future. Tonight, and what's happening right now is on the other side, the railway line side, the Manson's Garden side, and tonight is about discussing the other side of the street where the shops are and the footpaths are. We don't want that area to get left behind. I think we'll all agree it's a bit untidy, it's a bit sad in places, you know, leaking roofs, leaking gutters, needs a paint job, but we need to be able to work together, and council want to know what we can do as a team, and you guys joining us to help make Taumarunui more spruced up for the future. As I said, real exciting times. I don't really know what else to say, but I'd like you all to, if you've got some good ideas tonight about how we can make this happen, now's the time to speak up. First of all, I'm going to introduce you to Mayor Don, who would like to say a couple of words, and then our project manager is going to take us through the presentation. So please feel free to have your say throughout the day, or throughout the night. Mayor Don.
Cool, thank you, Karen. Tēnā koutou katoa. And Doyle is here as an interested observer and also as a councillor and a business person. The only thing I wanted to say is that we're on a pretty quick journey as far as tourism goes, and that is that we've reached 1 million tourists when we're looking at 700,000 max a few years ago. With the one project that's about to be funded for the SkyTrain going into Knoll Ridge, that's going to be expected to bring 300 to 500,000 people in the next 5 years. And that's only one project. We've got another 35 projects that we're putting forward to MB that we hope will be funded over time. When I say time, I'm saying over a couple of years' time. And some of them are around such things as gateways up into the park, gateways into Pipiriki, because the amount of traffic going onto the river is expected to double in the next couple of years going into that area. So you can see that things are happening. The other thing is that the government has made overtures towards us to say that we like what you're doing and we like your plans. That's not to say they're going to give us the money, but it does mean to say they want to partner with us. So we're going full steam ahead with that. And we expect that in the next year or two there will be a number of announcements being made by the Minister, particularly Shane Jones. So that is it may. I think from a Taumarunui point of view, there's always been the feeling that Ohakune, in particular a national park, have been the tourist area for people. Well, I don't actually agree with it. I just think that Taumarunui has yet to present itself as a host town, and I think you're just about there, without a doubt. And in fact, I believe that it's not far away. We're getting people knocking on our door around accommodation. To me, Taumarunui probably presents better even than Ohakune. You know, Ohakune is the mountain town. I just think that it's what people are looking for. Somewhere where you can use this as a base, you go fishing, you go hunting, you go play golf, you do cherry grove, you can do the canoes, you can do forgotten adventure, world adventures. You've got a heck of a lot happening here, as well as obviously Pureora Cycle Trail. So to me, Taumarunui is on that verge and it's about to take off. So I guess moving on from that, I'll introduce Alistair, who will run me through obviously the boring stuff to start with, that you need to know about. And on that, there is already a move through our neighbouring councils to talk to the government around help with earthquake strengthening. Where that goes, we're not quite sure, but Minister Sleazy has made it quite clear she wants to talk to particularly rural towns around it, because this has the ability to change our character really, really quickly and change the businesses as well. And we just don't want that to happen. So we're hoping that if nothing else, they may put some money into it, or they may extend time to do stuff. We don't know that yet, but at least there is some, which they weren't doing before. So with that, I'll hand over to Elsie.
Thank you very much. I'm Alistair Wells. I'd like to introduce you to Wayne Miller. Wayne is the structural and civil engineer that is helping with this work. So if there's anything going wrong, it's his fault, not mine. There's three parts of what we want to talk to you tonight about. One is, as His Worship the Mayor says, the boring bits. I'm going to work on the basis, we'll work with that quite quickly because I'm assuming that you know what we're talking about, but if I am going quickly and you need to, just stop me and we'll drill into it a bit more. So the first bit is to work our way through the Amendment Act. The second bit is to talk to you a little bit about the progress that's been made in terms of the redevelopments happening up on Hakiaha Street. So you'll have seen that there's some work started, the workmen are in there doing some work. So that work is progressing from now until the beginning of next year. So we'll talk to you about what's going on with that, and then we'd like to talk to you about verandas and what's happening on this side, on the commercial side of the street. So just stop me if I'm going too quickly through the Amendment Act stuff, because you're probably aware of it, or you will be aware of it, and the information has been out there. So, but do stop me if I'm going too quickly, because there's a lot of this stuff. And by the way, if you've given us your email address and you want some further information, we can send you some further fact sheets and what's going on with the Act and things like that. So just a very quick background. This has all come about, government put the legislation in following the Canterbury earthquakes of 2010, 2011. Oh, sorry.
No.
But following the earthquakes, because the unreinforced masonry buildings, particularly in Christchurch, collapsed and fell into the street and a number of people were killed. That's the gist of it. It came into force middle of last year. The requirements are that territorial and local authorities are required to determine the commercial buildings, so we're not talking about residential buildings, the commercial buildings that are potentially earthquake prone. The authorities are also obliged to identify priority buildings. Priority buildings are effectively those buildings that in an earthquake event would prevent or restrict the ability of the emergency services to work, or that house a certain amount of people that would be schools, hospitals, those kinds of buildings. At the moment, we've assessed Hakiaha Street, which is mainly what tonight's about, and then none of the buildings are priority buildings as far as the Act is concerned, because accessibility isn't restricted because of the width of the street, and there are other abilities to access for emergency vehicles in back streets. Priority buildings affect, and we'll go through this in a minute, they affect the time frames that building owners have to be able to affect the repairs or the structural effect things. And the Act does not consider hardship or commercial consideration. We're obliged by the government to categorise any potentially earthquake building as category A, B or C, and you have all received a letter from the council identifying the fact that those preliminary assessments have been done. As far as this district is concerned, it's in an area of medium seismic risk. That affects the time frames that our building owner is obliged in order to effect the repairs. So in the areas that are red in there is less time in the yellow and less time for the green, which we'll go into in a minute. So the Act came into effect last year. Council will issue the notices formally in early 2019. The reason for that is, as His Worship the Mayor said, the work that's going on behind the scenes with other councils in terms of talking about the impact, the economic, the social impact of this Act on rural towns in New Zealand, and particularly the North Island towns in and around your area, is significant. So Council's doing a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that those impacts are understood by central government and that there are potentially mitigating issues that can be worked on. Following the issue of those formal assessments, Council must request engineering assessments, and the owner of the building must provide a report within 12 months or request an extension of that time. And under the relevant sections, the owner must complete, if it's required to be strengthened, So we'll go into this again, but if it's over 34% of the current building codes, you're all right, but if it's under, you're required to strengthen, work to strengthen the building. So for priority buildings, that only gives you 5 years from the beginning, the start date of the Act, but for until 2027 for other buildings. And as I said before, Hakiaha Street was not priority, so that's the length of time to complete the strengthening of the building. So this is a photo of unreinforced masonry building of the same sort of age as the buildings on Hakiaha Street, falling into a public bus on the 2011, February 2011 earthquakes in Canterbury. And this is the reason for the Act. This is the reason for the Amendment Act. So parapets and verandas in the main, but unreinforced masonry buildings as well. So as far as unreinforced masonry, so the assessments that have been done to say that potentially the buildings we're looking at are potentially earthquake prone means that they're potentially unreinforced masonry buildings. So that's brick, concrete and rock masonry. We are not, or council is not there to determine whether a building has been reinforced. That requires you or the building owner to engage a structural engineer. So all masonry buildings have been included. So we've had a lot of calls, or a number of calls from various people saying, well, hang on a second, I can demonstrate that my building is not unreinforced. It was built after 1975, it was built here, I've got the plans and everything like that. If you can demonstrate that your building is above 34%, then we remove it from the database, end of story. But if it's not, you need to go through the process. So this is the part of the process that we use to identify them. So looking at council's rating database, Google Earth, and looked at every commercial building in the district. Oh. And you would have received something along the lines of this in terms of the assessment, the basic assessment that would have been done. That's the public toilets and here. So we looked at buildings across the district. The number of buildings that we believe may be affected is over 200, up to 200. The reason that council is working with other councils and with central government is that a lot of those buildings, and when we look at Hakiaha Street in particular, the serious parts of the town streetscapes, there's a number of iconic buildings in there. They are integral to the economic development and economic activity of the towns of the district. So, under the Act, council must issue those notices. Owners then must employ a suitably qualified engineer to assess the building strength. The requirement is that the strength must be at least 34% of the current design standards. As I said, if it's over 34%, you get removed from the database. Then the owners have a time frame, as we discussed above, so to 2027, in order to have those assessments carried out and to strengthen or demolish the building. That's what the Act says. Is there any questions then? I went through that relatively pretty quick. Are there any questions that you have about the requirements of the Act and the role that council must have? Are you all quite familiar with that? If you indicate on the sheet that went around, put your email on, we can send you more information if you need it or if you want it. So the other part of the work, the other parts of the work that we do is helping council to for the redevelopment that's happening in Hakiaha Street. And in particular, there's two parts of that development. There is the landscaping work, which was signed off as part of the LTP and is starting to get underway now. I'll just show you a couple of pictures of how that is there and how that's intended to lift the town. And the second part of that project is the lease that council have over the station building, which is going to be redeveloped as a community tourism hub with incorporation of some museum elements into it and redevelopment of the access and egress into the building to tie it into the landscaping and make it attractive for a visitor destination. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So here's just the first picture of what we call the civic area, the civic square. which bespoke landscape architects put through recently. All these pictures, all these pictures available on your website update is a presentation through there. The key elements of that is a open civic space with some covered areas in there that can be used for various sorts of events, whether that be just casual sitting, eating, dining kind of experience, or it might be a fair or some sort of small event, could be a small music event, that sort of thing. In the civic area through here. In the back in here, there's another picture. Oh, that's the civic area in there. So you can see there's some cafe-style seating in there. Those cafe seatings can be removed. There could be exhibition space, outdoor exhibition space. It could be a market day. It could be anything like that that can be used there, with some covered areas. Down towards the eastern end, in here, there is a activity area for young families to use. Excuse me, with some play elements in there, and with it protected and barriered off from the street so that the activities in here, the little kiddies can't run out through there. Redevelopment of the grotto and the pond and through